Hello everyone and welcome back to some more professional StarCraft 2. Today we're gonna have a look at a couple of games that are played on a map called Nautilus. Now Nautilus was first introduced back in April in the GSL Code S. Now in case you're unfamiliar, the GSL Code S, it's widely considered to be one of the hardest tournaments in all of StarCraft 2. If not the hardest, then at the very least it's the biggest tournament for StarCraft over in South Korea. Now, normally when it comes to StarCraft 2 tournaments, and this is kind of interesting, they pretty much all mirror the StarCraft 2 ladder map pool. Now, as you probably are aware, Blizzard hasn't really been updating the ladder maps nearly as often as they should, in my opinion. I mean, I could make a dedicated video about that and just complain. Either way, apparently the GSL decided to take matters into their own hands, and they decided to replace Submarine, which was still a ladder map at the time, with Nautilus instead. Now, since then, it's only been played a couple dozen times, which is a bit of a shame. So, I guess players have been vetoing it a lot. Is he gonna go Command Center first? Is he really? Alright. Anyways, so what makes this map so interesting and why I want to dedicate a video to it is because it's not just your regular 1 versus 1 map with 2 spawn locations. It's got 4. So, in this particular game, apparently, the players are both in the top section of the map, but they could have spawned in the bottom section as well. Anyways, so, first off, in the top left-hand corner with the blue Zerg drones, we have DRG. And his opponent in the top right. Going for that command center first, we have ByuN. Right from the get-go, this is interesting. ByuN going for a command center first, normally a little bit risky, but on a 4-player map, it kind of makes sense, right? DRG is getting lucky here. He sent his very first Overlord in the right direction. He could have accidentally sent his first Overlord in the wrong direction, and it would have been a little bit of a disaster, because then he wouldn't find his opponent for a long time. But already, it creates a little bit of strategic variety. So look at that, ByuN. Going from the command center first, straight into double barracks. Meaning that, yeah, he's really not going to have any tech or a whole lot of units available here anytime soon. At the very least, he probably won't be able to move out until, I guess, like the 16 Marines or so are out. This is interesting. So, at some point a couple years ago, well, a couple years ago, like 8 years ago, in StarCraft terms, that's not that long, I guess, they decided to basically forgo all of the 4-player maps and replace them with 2-player maps instead. We used to have those all the time back in the Wings of Liberty era, I think in Heart of the Swarm as well, but since Legacy of the Void came out, basically all of the maps are now 1 versus 1. Players, however, in, for example, the Team Liquid map contest as well, have also been, once again, making 4-player maps rather than just, you know, the 2-player maps. And I kind of like it, I think. I mean, personally, whenever I was playing on the 4-player maps, I wasn't that big of a fan. Just because as a player, it kind of, you know, it kind of was more difficult, I guess. I had to, like, adjust my playstyle. But it does make a lot of sense, at the very least from, like, a strategic point of view, right? So, for example, right now, DRG is taking his 3rd hatchery at, like, the triangle location, right? But if his opponent would have spawned in the bottom left, there's no way he would be expanding towards his opponent, because that would kind of suck for Zerg. He would probably have taken this expo instead, right? Kind of interesting. I would like to know your thoughts on 4-player maps down below in the comment section of this video. Do you like them? Or do you think we should stick with just, you know, the regular 1 versus 1s? I would like to see, like, in a map pool with 7 maps, I would like to see maybe 1 or 2, I think, with, like, you know, 4 spawn locations. Because it does make for some more interesting games. Already, ByuN is going for something, yeah, that seems to be the 16 Marine drop. So we can kind of judge how much of a difference it really makes when you go for a command center first. Normally, the 16 Marine drop, when perfectly executed, so you go for the barracks, into the command center, and then the second barracks and all the rest of it. Normally it hits about 5 minutes and 10 seconds, depending on the size of the map. I don't know exactly how much of a difference it's really going to make, so he's going to move out with, I think, 16 Marines, 2 Medivacs, and Stimpak. Maybe he can hit quite a bit earlier because of the map size, right? And because of the way that the opponent spawned. Obviously, if it would have been cross-position, it would have been different once again. So the center bit of this map, by the way, it's got 4 of those speed-up circles and then a watchtower. Meaning that holding the watchtower will be quite tricky. And already, yeah, you can see he's actually working on the rocks here, the Zerg that is. Just because I guess he wants to take, I don't know, some of the bases in the bottom left-hand corner. Double Evo here as a start. I like that a lot against the 16 Marine drop. It's very, very powerful. By the way, the games that I'm casting today are from the most recent Olimo League tournament. And they basically made the players play on this map. So I'm going to cast 3 games. I have no idea if the games are any good. But I'm going to cast 3 games that were played on it. Just because I want to have a look at the dynamic here. Where's the second Medivac? What just happened? Oh, there is a second Medivac. It's just going around in a different way. Yeah, so look at that. We're 4 minutes and 55 seconds into the match, and ByuN has already arrived. I mean, he also moved out very quickly, I suppose. Very good creep spread here, though, by DRG. He hasn't knocked down the rocks just yet. So scan over here will reveal at least... Well, he's already got 21 Marines. I guess some of them are at home. Yeah. So you have to adjust your timings. And especially as, you know, a Zerg, you have to play pretty defensive usually in a macro game like this. So you have to be careful that you don't accidentally over-drone. Which may be the reason why, personally, I wasn't that big of a fan. Because I'm not the most flexible player. But, I mean, if our goal in tournaments is to determine who the best player is, 4-player maps would make a lot of sense, right? Anyways, there's the Bailing Nest. The lair coming up as well. Double gas so far here for the Zerg. Going for the double Evo chambers first. This is something that really has fallen out of favor, at least on the European, or in the European scene, I suppose. Like, both Sero and Raynar have barely been going double Evo first. I personally love it. It's super powerful. Because now he's going to be able to finish up those upgrades at a reasonable time. The only downside is that bailing speed is going to be super late. So he's going double macro hatchery while also expanding down south. I think that is actually because of the fact that those units showed up a little bit sooner. He missed a couple of injects there because the queens were already forced to the front. So he's now building 3 additional hatcheries. Maybe taking a page out of Dark's book there, who's been very fond of going for macro hatches recently. Anyways, Zerglings going for what seems to be a bit of a run-by here as well. That does mean they're obviously not going to be here at home. Is there enough army here to defend? I mean, the queen's extremely powerful. Siege tank there in the back, not quite in range, and the queens don't really chase it too far. I think if this army would have been fighting in range of the siege tank, it would have been able to win. Either way, what's the follow-up going to be right now for our Terran player? Well, so far he doesn't have a 3rd CC yet, which makes this all very, very all-in-y. So, since not a whole lot of games have been played in tournaments on this particular map, I can imagine the players aren't, you know, super comfortable on it either. So maybe ByuN just trying to go for a little bit more of an all-in-y type of style. I mean, obviously he's very capable of playing aggressive styles, and that's what he usually does, but I'm a little concerned, though, especially once bailing speed finishes up. It's going to be very difficult to actually win against the Zerg player. Would love to, by the way, see 2-2 start up here for the Zerg. No. What? Don't use the bailings to blow up rocks? Alright. Okay, I was going to say, that seems bad. Okay, so he does start up +1, or +2 melee right now. +1 infantry weapons has finished up as well for ByuN. There is a huge amount of Ling Bane out on the map. So surround can definitely be set up. And these choke points, actually, they're looking quite scary. It's going to be difficult for Zerg to really clean this up. Okay, the Lings and Banes not going in for the counterattack. I think he wants to wait until Centrifugal Hooks is done. That's the bailing speed upgrade. Just about to finish. Okay, it's done right now. Still trying to buy some time maybe, but here we go. Okay, Zerg has decided to collapse on top of all of this Terran army. Bailings probably should have come in from the different angle. Rocks over here as well, though, are preventing at least this, this Zerg army from getting a perfect surround. And even though that seemed pretty terrible there for ByuN, and I still don't think it's particularly good, at the very least, he keeps most of those Marines alive. Alright, splitting instead of these speed-up circles, though, very difficult. Yep. Nearly impossible, and that was actually a very significant hit. Now the delayed 3rd CC is really gonna bite him in the butt. ByuN definitely hoping to get a little bit more damage done there. Yes, he did deny the creep spread here, but he's gonna have to keep on the pressure here if he really wants to push back that creep even more. 4th hatchery now is finished up here. 78 workers here for DRG versus only 52 here for ByuN. +2/+2. Liberator as a follow-up too, so maybe he can do some harassment over here, or I don't know, get some sort of damage done. There's the armory as well as the 2nd NG bay. 2 medevacs full of units. At the very least, we'll be able to deny this expo if he decides to, well, if he decides to unload. Apparently DRG, though, already anticipating this move. Love that Sport Crawler position. It's kind of random, but pretty good. 2 Marines apparently sacrificed. Trying to unload some units right there in the back right now. Okay. Good defense here by DRG. Very good game, actually, by him so far. ByuN versus DRG. What's funny about that as well to me is that obviously these games were played very recently, but these two players were around in like 2011. So it could have been played quite some time ago. Maybe even longer, man. Maybe 2010. I'm not 100% sure. Both of them have already finished up their military service, of course. DRG, I think, is like 31 years old at this point. These are like the boomers of the StarCraft community. Although DRG has actually looked extremely good recently again. Like, he's always been good, obviously, but he's actually... Yeah, he's definitely, like, at this point in Korean StarCraft, I think there's, like, 2 Zerg players that are a little bit better than the rest. So that's Rogue and Dark. But I would say Solar and DRG are probably pretty close in skill. Like, most people would consider Solar, I think. But DRG has been looking really scary. So DRG, by the way, not going for a Mutalisk-based force this time around. He's always very fond of playing Mutas, at the very least. About a year ago or so, he was always playing Mutas. ByuN right there thinking about picking off the Queen. Very low in hit points, but not gonna happen. Okay, so DRG is just about to finish up 2-2. Ground Carapace level 2 is finishing up. He could definitely go for a fight right now if he wants to. There's only siege tanks and 5 of them in total, with 2 of them loaded into a medevac. Since ByuN is always very keen on sending units across the map in those planes, he doesn't have that many units at home to defend it. Okay, there is one medevac over there, and he does decide to return at least some of his army back home. Siege tanks on the low ground trying to defend. Banelings, though, rolling into the 3rd base location, and Banelings right now trying to blow up the Warrior and the Natural Expo too. Zerglings, though, had already finished it up, so they're gonna hunt for the SCVs in the mineral line instead. ByuN does pull back, but, I mean... This is the strength of those upgrades. When you start up the double evos very quickly, you can hit your opponent in the face with an absolutely massive attack. And now, all of a sudden, only 37 SCVs remain. It's the mirrored version right there of the number for DRG at the very least, who's sitting at 74. Alright, now the question is, can DRG defend at home as well? ByuN is probably going to go for an all-out assault. And honestly, looking at these... Yeah, these Zerglings are more than enough, right? He gets the wraparound on the siege tanks. GG is cold. And that means this game goes in favor of DRG. Alrighty. So apparently our second match for today is once again, of course, on Nautilus, but this time around it's a Terran versus Protoss in cross spawn. So right here in the top left-hand corner we have Creator and his opponent in the bottom right. This time around, I guess, playing with the, what is that, the Cyan or the Teal Terran SCVs. He goes by the name of ByuN. Now, Submarine was replaced, right, with Nautilus in the first season of the GSO Codes this year. However, apparently in the second season, they also replaced another map called Jagannatha with one called Oblivion. Now, in this particular tournament, in this Olimo League event, they also had the players play on Oblivion. If you guys are interested, let me know down below in the comment section. I could definitely cast those games as well, because personally, I would definitely like to check them out. So, Crank apparently is translating here for the players. He says, "Hey, Hyun Wo," Creator's name and also ByuN's name. "Why? I called myself. Why?" Oh, okay, they're having a little bit of fun because they share a name. "Hey, bro, why are you so sad?" Alright, a little bit of banter back and forth. Obviously, most of the pro players know each other for a very long time. And even though they are technically rivals, most of them are pretty good friends. A lot of them will practice in you know, customs and all that as well. Unsurprisingly, of course, if you've been meeting each other for like a decade, it makes sense that you, at the very least, get to know each other reasonably well as well. So he says, "Who are you?" And the Creator says, "Sorry." All right. Terrible banter. 3 out of 10. Come on, Creator. Give us something more aggressive. "I just wanted to pretend I know you." Okay, that's a little bit better. 4 out of 10. You got an extra point. Maybe 5 out of 10. That's pretty good. "I just wanted to pretend that I know you." Oof. Man, so rude. Anyhow, what's actually kind of interesting about this map is that it seems to me, right? Say you spawn in the top left and you want to scout bottom left, top right, or bottom right. All the locations are probably scouted in the same amount of time. So, you know, bottom left and top right do make sense because, you know, you're going to travel the same path, right? Because it's mirrored. However, going diagonally normally would take more time, but because of those speed up circles in the center, I'm pretty sure, you know what I mean? I'm pretty sure it's going to be the same. By the way, did Creator... Hold up, I'm backing off for just a sec. No, I thought for a second Creator was trying to, like, play a bit of a trick on his opponent. Maybe he did. So the first Reaper is just about to come out. If he sees the probe going to the top right, that would be kind of nice. I think he's trying to actually play that game. So ByuN is currently sending the Reaper across. If he would obviously see the probe retreating towards the top right, he would probably make the assumption that the opponent is there. Either that or he wants to go for some sort of proxy shenanigans, which I personally wouldn't mind either. ByuN didn't go for an SCV scout, so he's going for the command center in the main base, because I guess, you know, for all he knows, there could be like proxy gateways over here in the center of the map, and that would not, yeah, that would not be great. Either way, just playing it safe and sound for now. Not scouting with the Reaper, though. So Prop actually going all the way around as well. Apparently, it is just barely dodgeable here to go around. The Watchtower not giving enough vision there, so he's once again going to be able to check here relatively easily. Twilight Council inside of the main base for Creator. Probably going to go either Blink or Adepts or something along those lines. Most of the time in this matchup, of course, it is going to be Blink. Blink opener is very powerful. ByuN is going for the classical 1-1-1. Creator hasn't seen the command center, but you should be able to judge that there is a CC out there somewhere, just based off of the starport timing. Oh, he canceled it. Okay, he decided to cancel it and go for a robo facility instead. Don't think that was necessarily needed, but alright. Anyhow, ByuN magically scouting in the right direction. Maybe he did get a glimpse of something, so he knows his opponent spawned over there. Either way, at this point he knows, because the hallucinated Phoenix is going to fly across the map from that spot as well. Not much, though, you're going to be able to do right here against, well, these two Stalkers with Hellions, right? You're not going to be able to get through that wall. Those units will be able to hold position very nicely, and yeah, even though you can test it, he's going to move them around a bit. It's not going to matter all too much. Hallucinated Phoenix here is going to scout, yep, that there is a cloaking field researching there for Creator. So Viking into a Banshee. Decides to cancel it now that the hallucination is gone. I mean, I guess the Banshee wouldn't get that much work done anyway. He decides to cancel it, just like the Twilight Council was cancelled on the other side of the map, and he decides to go for the Raven instead. Fair enough. So a Prism is being chrono boosted out pretty quickly. I think he could have definitely got a scout for the standard Blink opener, but apparently Creator may be a little bit concerned. A couple of Widow Mines already set up in a path towards that bottom right-hand corner. Careful, careful, Creator. Hello, it's a minefield, dude. Okay. We're just gonna lose 2 Stalkers? Maybe 1. Nope. 2. That's not ideal. Okay, at least the very first Widow Mine was cleared out. Second Widow Mine moving a little bit further back. Creator, once again, not paying attention. Yep, that's bad. Losing 2 Stalkers there, or 3 in total already. Not ideal whatsoever. He is going to go for a warp in inside of the main base. It is 4 gateways in total. Third Nexus is a follow-up as well. How much damage can these Adepts do? There is a Banshee now once again as a follow-up. ByuN apparently leaving the Raven over there. He needs to, yeah, concern himself obviously too. Ooh. With that Stalker army right outside of his front door. So only 2 SCVs here in total. 2 more Adepts get warped in, maybe here to finish off any of those workers, although no, nothing is even in the red hit points. Yeah, not the most successful bit of harassment, but in the end it shouldn't really matter all too much. Both players actually hitting a supply block. 70 out of 70. Interesting. Now finally Creator will go for the Twilight Council, the second one, and then also a Forge. Yeah, the more I think about it, I haven't really thought about it too much, but the more I think about it, I do like the idea of 4-player maps. It at least creates, like, the problem is, right, with some 4-player maps that we had back in the day, there were, like, some very, very significant spawn imbalances, right? So, like, say, for example, if you're forced to always expand as a Zerg player in the direction of Terran, that is just not very good, right? And what usually ends up happening on those sort of maps is that, well, you just cheese every single time, and then Terrans will play super defensively. It can create some really awkward dynamics. The map locations do have to be, at the very least, remotely balanced. But, I mean, this map, Nautilus, seems to be pretty good. Like, I mean, I don't really see any glaringly obvious mistakes here. Maybe these rocks could become a bit of a problem. Right, we could see that in the Zerg versus Terran just now, where... I don't know. I'm not sure. I think it's very doable. Alright, so 4 additional gateways here. Banshee on the other side of the map getting 2 kills. Charge is coming up. +1 is coming up as well for the ground units. So this is going to be 8 gateways here in total. There's the Templar Archives. Yeah, Creator definitely is looking to go for some sort of pressure. Chrono boosting out both of those upgrades. He's going to be able to hit his opponent in the face with Archon, Immortal, Zealot. And then a couple of Stalkers added into the mix as well. There's no blink done or anything like that. Normally, if you want to go a little bit more macro-focused, this is not the time to move out, ByuN. Your opponent is just about to hit you. Okay, this could become really awkward. I mean, he's finishing up his own upgrades, but... yeah, sadly for the Terran here, that combat shield is a little bit late. I mean, he does have 4 siege tanks over here. That is quite a lot. These can fire all simultaneously. Just a bit dangerous if Zealots were to charge on top of it. If he goes for a few bunkers over here, or like some... I don't know, some structures here to block the pathing, that would be very helpful. So he scouts right now as well. He scans, and he sees that there's a lot of Zealots out. But he also sees that the army is still at home, so that's something. There's one High Templar inside of the prison, by the way. I guess it's here to feed back the Raven? That must be the reason why it's there. Very difficult to pull off, but let's see if it can do it. Here's that huge Protoss army, though, going across the map. Careful now. One supply depot has been started up. Missile turret just about to finish right as that observer flies in, so that's a bit unfortunate there for Creator, but I'm pretty sure he's just planning on going for a ton of aggression anyway. Okay, 2 Zealots and an Immortal inside of the plane right now. No feedback on that Raven. Couple additional supply depots have started up as well, which I absolutely love. He's going to try and target fire down as many of those siege tanks as possible. 2 tanks have already gone down. 10 SCVs are also getting picked off. Man, that's tons of workers now actually getting picked off. Is there still enough, though, for ByuN to hold on? Feedback eventually does go down on the Raven, but he is now biting his way, or I guess shooting his way, through all of those Protoss units, it seems. Zealots off cooldown right now with their charge ability. There's reinforcing Terran units also popping out of the barracks, immediately brought into the battle. No time to reflect on their training, at the very least. Alright, so that was a ton of workers going down, but ByuN currently definitely at a nice army lead. He also snipes the Prism right there, which is very painful. Battery overcharge obviously can prevent this army from just simply pushing straight through the win, but... yeah, Protoss definitely losing a lot more there than his opponent. Obviously, he's also had that 3rd CC for longer. Or the 3rd Nexus. 12 o'clock base. He's thinking about acquiring it right now. No splash damage, though, really, here for the Protoss. A couple of Zealots coming in from the side as well. Okay, good scout right there by ByuN, who's just going to try and stutter step as best as he can. Going through that circle, pretty helpful. Force field, not really helpful. Man, ByuN is so good at controlling these sort of armies. Immortal here is very scary. Well, there you go. It was very scary. Yeah, there's just too much. Okay. Creator overextends a little bit in that fight. He was thinking about going for a 4th Nexus, but it turns out ByuN just has way too much stuff. Alright, so just because I'm kind of curious myself, I'm going to test to see how long the rush distances are from the different locations. So I've got 1 drone on hotkey 1, 1 drone on hotkey 2, 1 drone on hotkey 3. I'll first off send them all out on the map, and then I individually rally each of them to like the different corners. So 1 goes to the top right, 2 goes across, 3rd goes to the bottom left. Okay. I mean, this is not the most scientific way of doing it, but at the very least it should give us a rough indication as to what the scout timing is. I'm pretty sure it's gonna at the very least be not too far off. Okay, so bottom left is seemingly scouted first. Yeah, at the same time as top right. And then this one is slightly later, but it's only a couple of seconds. Alright, let's do one more. So spawning here in the top right-hand corner of Nautilus, we have Creator and his opponent. To round things out, it's gonna be none other than DRG. So this time around, it is gonna be a cross spawn, which I do think pretty much always favors the Zerg, just because now they have multiple expos to choose from. Shouldn't really matter all too much though, right? Yeah, this rock is definitely a painful one. Yeah, these rocks are in interesting spots. The rocks seem a little bit funky, but definitely interesting mechanic for sure. Now, Zergs obviously have become very lazy over the years. They don't really go for drone scouts anymore because, well, their pylons and supply depots fly. So, you know, they kind of get that free scouting info. Relatively free anyway. The first OVs usually die. They don't know yet at this point, so don't tell them, okay? But now it is going to be a Zerg versus Protoss. So I'm assuming... Get this. I'm assuming... It's going to be wild, okay? I'm assuming it's going to be a Stargate opener. I know. Kind of crazy. Hatch gas pool here from DRG. Making the crazy predictions today. Maybe today is my lucky day. I'll be right. I'm gonna go out and buy a lottery ticket if that's the case. Just being as annoying as possible right here with that very first probe. Starting the mining, canceling the mining, starting the mining, canceling the mining. Just to distract the workers here. A little bit. Does it make a difference? A little bit. May as well. Fun fact. Workers in StarCraft 2 have a harvest command. So for Zerg, for example, they have a drone selected. Right when they have a drone selected, they have a command that allows them to harvest a mineral patch. You can also just right-click it. Either way, what Zerg players usually do these days is that they create a rapid-fire control for the harvest command. So whenever a probe comes into the base and it's like furiously right-clicking over there, rather than having to like select the worker and furiously right-click back, they hold down the harvest command instead, which is much faster than you can click. Plus, it will spam that ability without, you know, ruining your wrists over the course of like a decade of playing. There you go. There's your fun fact of the day. So they're rapid fire the harvest command. Stargate opener, by the way. Yay! Okay, my next prediction. I think it's gonna be a Void Ray. I know! Brave today. Aren't I? So OVs are slowly closing in on that base. So they scouted top left and then bottom right. I don't know if you even want to fly them all the way in. Like, if you lose 2 Overlords, that's actually a bit of an awkward scenario to be in. Stargate finishes. What? Oh, man. My reputation was on the line, Creator. For what it's worth, he could have started up a Void Ray, okay? Alright, not going out and buying a lottery ticket today. Maybe it's going to be a Void Ray as a follow-up, though. Oh, wow. He decides to commit? No, I don't like it. I mean, 3 drones? Or, no? Okay. Could have done the Spore, maybe, but... At the same time, on the other side of the map. Oh, okay. An eye for an eye, apparently. Void Ray as a follow-up. An eye for an eye, apparently, has 2 Zerglings there. Maybe more. Their brothers may have already died. Good control. Very nice control there, Creator. Guess one of the adepts must have been sleeping on the job, or maybe the third one wasn't ready yet. See how much damage this Oracle can do. Alright. Quite a bit, it turns out. Yeah. At the same time, the Zerglings over there are trying to get some damage done. Little bit of sloppiness here so far in this game, right? Mistakes are being made. It happens. Pro players are human after all. Okay, not all of them. Like, not Cero, obviously. Not Innovation. But most of them human. Interestingly enough, there is no third Nexus here. So normally we see a third Nexus at, like, 350. In this case... Oh. Creator hasn't played this map all too much either. There's a hole over there. Anyways, normally we see that third Nexus going up a little bit quicker. I guess it's because you made those extra adepts earlier. And then lost a bunch of probes, so you decided to replace those first. Gotta be careful though, man. Maybe that's also how the Zerglings got in. Probably how the Zerglings got in. Maybe Creator didn't even know. Like, maybe didn't even tell. I mean... It does become pretty obvious though if you look back at your base occasionally, right? Like, these guys obviously are not looking at their base for any more than is absolutely necessary, but... Oracle has found a friend. There you go. There you go. That was good. That was really nice. How many workers? 10 right now. Okay. Clean control right there. What's, by the way, going on right here on the map? Like, where are we? So we're on some sort of space platform, because that seems to be space. Right? There's like a couple of Terran ships, it seems, like Liberator wannabes. Some sort of mining colony or something along those lines. I'm not sure, like a... It's cool, dude. I like looking at map details. I always love the spacey backgrounds that they have. We don't really pay attention to that all too much. Hey, oh no, this is bad. DRG is going for a Queen March. Against the Queen March, you cannot really afford to lose an Oracle. Especially if you went for a triple Oracle start. This could actually be an absolute disaster right now, because there's not really that much here for a Protoss player. He's going Dark Shrine, but that's way too late. Immortal is coming up. Couple of Photons over here too. Can he just... No, he can't really march to the natural instead. Oh no. That Void Ray took a lot of base damage though. Maybe the Stasis can get something done. Okay, decent Stasis ward over there. Couple of Corrosive Bottles already raining down on top of that Photon Cannon. Yeah, when it comes to this sort of early game shenanigans, there's no room for like error for the Protoss. Like Zerg has a bit more wiggle room there. But if Protoss loses a few units for free, it's extremely difficult for them to defend when they... Oh my god. Yeah, this is a disaster right now. It's extremely difficult for Protoss to defend when they lose a couple of units. Because they have like 6 units, right? At the 5-minute mark. Like, if you lose 2 of them for free, you lose so much stuff. And this is now an absolute disaster. DRG is just killing the natural, or killing the 3rd base and marching towards the natural here. I mean, he doesn't even really need to go and kill the natural, or the 3rd apparently. He's just gonna go for the nap. My god, this little hole in the wall still not plugged, by the way. Could have definitely added a pylon or something like that into the mix. Mistakes were made, but that could definitely be because Nautilus is not necessarily the most played map out there. But I gotta say, I like it.